She wasn't famous. She wasn't powerful. She was just Mary, a crossing guard with a worn jacket and a crooked smile, who stood at the same corner, rain or shine, and made every child feel safe, seen, and loved. And when she was gone, the corner didn't fall silent. It bloomed with flowers in her honor.
Welcome back to Phoenix Fortis, where stories of resilience, hope, and redemption take flight. I'm your host, Diane. Today's letter comes from William, who grew up in a small town where one woman's presence shaped generations. She wasn't a celebrity, she wasn't rich, she was simply a crossing guard. But her absence left an entire community reeling and inspired them to create something beautiful, something living that still carries her love forward today. This is the story of Mary. Dear Diane, I grew up believing Mary was permanent. She'd been there longer than I'd been alive, standing at the crosswalk outside our elementary school. Rain, sleep, summer heat, it didn't matter. She was there, every morning, every afternoon, for over 40 years. She wasn't just a crossing guard. She was the crossing guard, the kind every town wishes it had. She didn't just keep us safe, she reminded us we mattered. She didn't just hold a stop sign, she held the heartbeat of our neighborhood. She knew every single child by name, not just the kids, our parents too. She watched first graders turn into fifth graders, then high school graduates, then young parents walking their own children to school. Whole generations passed through her care. There were teachers at the school who had once been walked across that same street by Mary, and still she remembered them. "Good morning, William. Have a wonderful day, sweetheart," she'd call out. Or she'd remind me, "Tie those laces. Don't want to trip today." She had a gift for making every child feel like they mattered. That quick smile, that wave, that gentle nudge, it was never just about crossing the street. She was crossing us into our day, into our futures, one small kindness at a time. And then, one morning, she wasn't there. A stranger stood in her place, looking nervous, holding the stop sign like it didn't quite fit. We soon learned Mary had passed away in her sleep. The corner looked the same, cars rushing, kids walking, but everything felt wrong. The silence where her greeting should have been was unbearable. Parents' faces were tight with grief. Kids shuffled past without smiles. For many of us, it was the first loss we'd ever felt, and it cut deep. The neighborhood grieved together. You could feel it in the air. A light had gone out. At first, little tributes appeared. Flowers at her lamppost, crayon drawings from children taped to the crosswalk sign, a few fading notes. "We miss you, Mary." But it didn't feel like enough. Then one of my classmates whispered, "Wouldn't it be nice if we made the street beautiful for her, so she'd always be here?" That one thought caught fire. Parents, teachers, neighbors, all of them wanted in. The plan was simple. Flowers, a living tribute, lining the road Mary had guarded for decades. And so, on a Saturday morning, the whole town turned out. Former students, now adults, dug side by side with their children. Local nurseries donated seedlings. Neighbors brought shovels. Even retired teachers came back to plant. The grief was still heavy, but as we planted, something shifted. Tears turned into stories. Stories turned into laughter. Every blossom placed in the earth felt like a thank you, a prayer, a whispered, "We remember." Every row planted was a promise. You mattered, Mary. You'll always matter. And then summer came. That once ordinary stretch of asphalt exploded into color. Petunias, marigolds, zinnias, a living ribbon of blossoms winding down the street she had stood on for 40 years. Each morning, walking to school, the air smelled of flowers, and every child, every parent smiled again. It felt like Mary was still there, watching, guiding, loving. And it didn't end with that summer. The flowers came back, year after year. Families watered, neighbors replanted. The school even formed a little Mary's Garden Club to care for it. Her legacy didn't fade. It bloomed. Now, as an adult, I still walk that road sometimes. And when I see those flowers, I don't just feel sadness. I feel connection, gratitude, a reminder that one life, lived with steady, quiet love, can ripple through generations. Mary showed us that true legacies aren't carved in stone. They're planted in the soil of community. They bloom in the lives we've touched. And like her flowers, they keep growing. Sincerely, William. William, thank you for letting us walk that blooming road with you. What strikes me most is how ordinary Mary's role was and how extraordinary her impact became. 40 years of showing up, 40 years of smiles, reminders, encouragements. Those small moments, multiplied over decades, shaped entire generations. Her absence was devastating because her presence had been everything. And yet, the flowers show us that love doesn't end with loss. When a community comes together, grief can become something alive, something enduring. Mary Street is more than beautiful. It's a quiet legacy of love. It's proof that a life of steady kindness leaves roots far deeper than we ever realize. And in those roots, there's power. There's memory. There's love that didn't fade, it flourished. If you've ever had someone like Mary in your life, a steady presence whose kindness carried you, I'd love to hear their story. Phoenix Fortis is a place to honor those legacies, whether through a letter, a memory, or isn't a tradition you still keep alive. This is your space to share how love has shaped you. And if you're walking through grief right now, I want you to remember, you are not alone. Sometimes the smallest act of remembrance or the simplest story shared can become the thing that helps someone else feel seen, heard, and held. If today's story moved you, I'd be grateful if you'd like this episode, leave a comment with your own story, or subscribe so more people can find these reminders of hope. You never know who might need to hear it. To everyone listening, maybe you've had a Mary in your life. Someone whose steady presence shaped your days, whose kindness left a mark you'll never forget. If this story touched you, find your own way to let their legacy live on. Plant something. Tell their story. Carry forward the love they gave you. Because every act of remembrance is a way of saying, you mattered, and you still do. And here's the hard truth. We don't always realize the depth of someone's impact until they're gone. But that doesn't mean it's too late. We can choose today to live like they taught us to, with patience, with kindness, with roots that grow deeper each time we show up for someone else. To William, thank you for reminding us that even the quietest lives can leave the most vibrant legacies. This has been Phoenix Fortis, where stories of resilience, hope, and redemption take flight. I'm Diane, and we'll be back soon with another story of how love endures, even in the face of loss. Until then, take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and remember, sometimes the simplest kindness plants the deepest roots. And if you'd like more reflections from Diane's hard truths, be sure to check out our Phoenix Fortis shorts, brief moments of insight for the days you need them most. As always, keep rising.